In March of 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was sworn in as President of the United States. FDR and his wife, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, communicated frequently with the American public and actively fostered a personal relationship with the citizens. Some 15 million letters from the public are preserved in the Franklin D. Roosevelt Library. In Down and Out in the Great Depression, Letters from the Forgotten Man, historian Robert S. McElvaine writes, "The ravages of the Depression did not hit all Americans with the same force. Some were untouched by it. A few profited. The ill effects were so widespread, however, that they were not confined to the very poor. Middle class, as well as many working class writers, insisted that they did not want charity. In seeking assistance, they made it plain that they wanted to borrow money. Such letter writers sometimes offered prized family possessions as security for the loans they sought. Also, like their working class counterparts, many middle-class Americans turned to the Roosevelts as a last hope, the way one might turn to a parent. They seem to have been a proud people, deeply embarrassed by their plight and the need to seek help, pleading that their requests be kept confidential." Many of the writers repeated the assumption that Roosevelt must not know of the conditions facing them, for, quote, "if only the president could know, he would help." Welcome to History in Letters and Memoirs Great Depression series. This collection intends to be a living history that draws from two books, Down and Out in the Great Depression, Letters from the Forgotten Man by Robert S. McElvaine, and Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, Letters from Children of the Great Depression by Robert Cohen. Each installment in this series features a selection of letters organized by topic, with a few excerpts from Cohen, McElvaine, and other sources to provide additional context. Although these letters were written almost a century ago, their content feels unnervingly close. Because Cohen and McElvaine have taken great care to faithfully transcribe each letter as it was written, every letter is displayed on screen as it is read. Images from the time period accompany the text. I try my best to read word for word, but at times I make minor changes to language and sentence structure. I claim sole responsibility for any mistakes in interpretation. Likewise, cadence and tone of voice are my subjective attempt to convey the deep feeling with which 1930s Americans wrote to their presidents and politicians, sharing their lives, their despair, their hope, and their need. Mrs. F. D. Roosevelt, Washington, D.C. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, I know you are overburdened with requests for help, and if my plea cannot be recognized, I'll understand it is because you have so many others, all of them worthy. But I am not asking for myself alone. It is as a potential mother, and as one woman to another. My husband and I are a young couple of very simple, almost poor families. We married 8 years ago on the proverbial shoestring, but with a wealth of love. We both wanted, more than anything else, to establish a home and maintain that home in a charming, quiet manner. I had a job in the county courthouse before I married, and my husband was and is a surveyor. I kept my job as it seemed the best and only way for us to pay for a home as quickly as we could. His work was not always permanent, as surveyors' jobs seldom are, but we managed to build our home and furnish it comfortably. Perhaps we were foolish to put all our money into it, but we felt it was not only a pleasure, but a saving for the future. Then came the Depression. My work has continued, and my salary alone has just been sufficient to make our monthly payments on the house and keep our bills paid. But with the exception of 2.5 months' work with the U.S. Coast and Geodetic Survey under the CWA, my husband has not had work since August 1932. My salary could continue to keep us going, but I am to have a baby. We wanted one before, but felt we should have more assurance for the future before we deliberately took such a responsibility. But now that it has happened, I won't give it up. I'm willing to undergo any hardship for myself, and I can get a leave of absence from my job for a year. But won't you do something so my husband can have a job, at least during that year? I realized there was going to be a lot of expense, and we have absolutely nothing but our home, which still carries a mortgage of $2,000. We can't lose that because our baby will need it, and I can't wait until the depression is over to have a baby. I will be 31 in October, and I'll soon be too old. We had such high hopes in the spring that the coast and geodetic work would continue. Tommy, my husband, had a good position there, and we were so happy. We thought surely our dreams of a family could come true. Then the work ended, and like the best laid plans of mice and men, our hopes were crushed again. But now fate has taken it into her own hands and left us to work it out somehow. I'm happy, of course, but Tommy is nearly out of his head. He has tried every conceivable prospect, but you must know how even pick and shovel jobs do not exist. If the coast and geodetic work could continue, or if he could get a job with the Bureau of Public Roads, anything in the surveying line. A year is all I ask, and after that I can go back to work and we can work out our own salvation. But to have this baby come to a home full of worry and despair, with no money for things it needs, is not fair. It needs and deserves a happy start in life. As I said before, if it were only ourselves, or if there was something we could do about it, we would never ask for help. We have always stood on our own feet and been proud and happy. But you are a mother, and you'll understand this crisis. Tommy is competent and dependable. He has a surveyor's license and was a level man for the U.S. Coast and Geodetic work in Humboldt County. He will go away from home for work if necessary, but, dear Mrs. Roosevelt, will you see if you can arrange a job for him? It sounds impossible, I know, but I am at a point where I ask the impossible. I have to be selfish now. I shall hope and pray for a reply and tell myself that you are the busiest woman in America if I don't receive it. I am going to continue work as long as I can, and then an interval of waiting. God grant it will be serene and untroubled for my baby's sake. Very sincerely yours, Mrs. M.H.A. Eureka, Humboldt County, California, June 14th, 1934. Mrs. Franklin D. Roosevelt, Washington, D.C. Dear Madam, I am a widow with a son 14 years of age, and am trying to support him and myself and keep him in school on a very small sum which I make. I feel worthy of asking you about this. I am greatly in need of a coat. If you have one, which you have laid aside from last season, would appreciate it so much if you would send it to me. I will pay postage if you fit to send it. I wear size 36 or 38. Please treat this confidentially, and I shall do likewise in case you reply. I assure you I am worthy of any help you render. Sincerely, name redacted. Miami, Florida, December 14th, 1934. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, thank you very much for helping me keep my house. If it wasn't for you, I know I would have lost it. I hope and pray that Mr. Roosevelt will keep his position a long time. You have saved my life. I would have killed myself if I would have lost my house. I will never forget you and will always pray for you and your family. I went to the home loan and they said everything would be all right. Forgive me if I caused you any trouble. I remain, yours truly, Mrs. J. G. Montvale, New Jersey, August 28th, 1934. Department of Labor, President's Organization, Washington, D.C. Tell me, what kind of help can this unemployed homeowner get? He is worse off than the real poor. You will help the poor who has spent all his money in good times. Now he is the one who gets first aid. But the little homeowner can get nothing and doesn't know what's to become of him. Anonymous. Cincinnati, Ohio, April 16th, 1932. Honorable Franklin D. Roosevelt, Chief Executive. After listening to another of your very interesting talks over the radio last night, as I have never missed any, I am taking the liberty of writing to you, and I will try to keep it as brief as possible. I'm the father of 5 good Christian children, and my wife has been, and still is, an invalid most of the time for the past 12 years, being afflicted with a very sore limb being caused from varicose ulcers. I have always been able to provide fairly well for my family, but in the past 3 years my salary has been on a constant decline. But still, I am thankful that I have a position. The points that I am trying to bring out are these. I owe a few minor bills that have accumulated in the past 3 years, through no fault of mine. These people keep hounding me night and day. Through this, I got back with other matters, even to the illegible, and this is the reason for me writing you. Winter coming on, no coal in our coal bin, and the children needing warm clothes to go to school. 2 children in grammar school and 2 in high school. Cannot even give my wife the necessary medical attention she should have. I have a loan company that I borrowed some money from and who have more back now than was borrowed, who keep on garnishing my pay when I fall behind. Is there some way or some person who I can go to that can help me through my difficulty? I have never yet as begged, but I must, and will be very candid that I would appreciate some kind of help for just a short period of time so that I can get caught up a little and back on my feet again. I have always put up a good fight and worked many a day when I was almost unable to stand up, but all to no avail. I am 50 years old and never missed an unnecessary day from work until just forced to do so. Thanking you in advance for any help, advice, or information given me, I remain your humble servant, name redacted. St. Louis, Missouri, October 23rd, 1933. My one request is to please keep this correspondence confidential. Mrs. F. D. Roosevelt, Washington, D.C. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, please pardon the liberty I am taking in writing you this note. Like thousands of others have lost and used up what we had saved, have been forced to go on relief, have been compelled to store the small amount of things we had and live in one room, which is detrimental to our health, and unless we can raise our storage charge amount $28 by April 10th, the things may be sold for storage. While not so valuable to anyone else, there are things that cannot be replaced. I would like to borrow the amount of $28 so I can pay the charge and get a more healthful place to live. We are American-born citizens and have always been self-supporting. It is very humiliating for me to have to write you, asking you again to pardon the privilege I am taking. I am hoping I may hear from you, without publicity, by return post. Very respectfully, name redacted. Chicago, Illinois, April 3rd, 1935. Most Honorable President, I am writing you this morning in all faiths that if I can get word to you of our horrible plight, you will not pass it by unnoticed. I am a mother of 7 children and utterly heartbroken in that they are hungry, have only 65 cents in money. The father is in LA trying to find something to do, provisions all gone. At this writing, no meat, milk, sugar, in fact, about enough flour for bread for 2 meals, and that's all. I have 2 children in high school, and our pride isn't all gone. Our story is this, and if we have a chance, we can care for ourselves and be happy. We have a boy, 17 years old, who is capable of holding a good position as a musician, is an excellent French horn player. I have been told by good musicians he is a professional now. There is a job he could have had a while ago in the CWA program of music that would help us out. But this being handled through county, we could not take advantage of it, having not been here a year. Oh, President, my heart is breaking as I see him go from home with half enough to eat and go all day without a bite of lunch. To be sure, he could beg his lunch, but he's too proud to beg as long as he can help it. and I have spent the day yesterday praying God to help me bear this, and as I tried to prepare their very scarce breakfast, illegible, that came. If only the President could know, he would help you to help yourselves, and on this impulse I try to tell you. Oh, what a burden, and how helpless I am, how proud I am of my children, and how dark a future under this condition. Their father is 62 years old, a preacher, a good carpenter, a saw filer, but industry won't hire a man this age, scarcely, even if they are strong in body, and he has no church to preach in, so... Oh, surely there's a place for us in this world. I humbly pray God's divine blessing on you, for you have tried every way to help the people. Very sincerely, Mrs. I. H. Lawndale, California, February 1st, 1934. Creating a living history is not without expense. If you would like to support the channel, please consider making a donation. I've put a link in the description. You can also support by hitting the like button, subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss a video, and dropping a comment below on which letter catches your attention and why. Turn to the person next to you and tell them what caught your attention and why. Ask them for their perspective. Listen, respond, connect, continue. Thank you for keeping this history alive. Apart from assistance in creating a caption file, History in Letters and Memoir is an AI-free channel. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, about a month ago, I wrote you asking if you would buy some baby clothes for me, with the understanding that I was to repay you as soon as my husband got enough work. Several weeks later, I received a reply to apply to a welfare association so I might receive the aid I needed. Do you remember? Please, Mrs. Roosevelt, I do not want charity, only a chance from someone who will trust me until we can get enough money to repay the amount spent for the things I need. As a proof that I really am sincere, I am sending you 2 of my dearest possessions to keep as security. A ring my husband gave me before we were married, and a ring my mother used to wear. Perhaps the actual value of them is not high, but they are worth a lot to me. If you will consider buying the baby clothes, please keep the rings until I send you the money you spend. It is very hard to face bearing a baby we cannot afford to have, and the fact that it is due to arrive soon, and still there is no money for the hospital or clothing, does not make it any easier. I have decided to stay home, keeping my 7-year-old daughter from school to help with the smaller children when my husband has work. The oldest little girl is sick now and has never been strong, so I would not depend on her, but the 7-year-old one is a good, willing little worker, and somehow we must manage, but without charity. If you still feel you cannot trust me, it is all right, and I can only say I do not blame you. But if you decide my word is worth anything, with so small a security, here is a list of what I will need, but I will need it very soon. 2 shirts, silk and wool, size 2. 3 pairs of stockings, silk and wool, 4.5 or 4. 3 straight flannel bands. 2 slips, outing flannel. 2 muslin dresses. 1 sweater. 1 wool bonnet. 2 pairs of wool booties. 2 dozen diapers, 30 by 30 or 27 by 27. 1 large baby blanket, about 45 or 50 inches. 3 outing flannel nightgowns. If you will get these for me, I would rather no one knew about it. I promise to repay the cost of the layette as soon as possible. We will all be very grateful to you, and I will be more than happy. Sincerely yours, Mrs. H.E.C. Troy, New York, January 2nd, 1935. Many thanks to the historians and archivists whose painstaking work preserves our history. Many more thanks to the forgotten men, women, and children from the Depression era whose words reach through time, offering wisdom and warning.